All right, so basically today's lesson is doing angle puzzles and justifying, right? Justifying your work. So the word explain means like explain your steps. Justify your answer. And you're doing that not only with your arithmetic, but the reason for your arithmetic. Because a triangle has 180 degrees. Because these angles are vertical and they're congruent. Does that make sense? You're adding in your vocabulary with it. So there will be one question on your quiz that has this. And of course, everybody can get their foot in the door just by finding the angle, right? The missing angle. And then it's to see where you're at in your vocabulary development and explain. Okay? It's 1 out of the 9 questions. So just, everybody take a deep breath. You good? Okay, don't get freaked out on me. All right, so here we go. We always start by, Luca, stay with me please today. Luca, stop what you're doing.
Sorry.
Because you missed this. What are we going to be working on today?
Explaining our steps and justifying your answer and making sure that you can explain your work.
Right, so as you have work scattered all over your page, we need to kind of like, you don't necessarily have to write sentences, but you do kind of have to get things together. Does that make sense, everybody? So stay with me, please. Okay? Trust me. Okay. First of all, did you read? We have to start by reading and marking our picture. On your mark, get set, go. Can you read without me and mark the picture? I would be adding at least 2 things, I think. Maybe 3. All right. So if you think you've read everything and you've marked your picture, kind of check to see if you did similar things, right? Some people might have done additional things. Some people might have seen this. I'm just doing doubles on it because it's different than the singles that I did, right? Okay. All right. We got a 71 and we got this information. Who has a step? What do you guys want to do first? All right. Sophia.
The other angle like B,
Mhm.
is gonna be 71.
Yes. Okay. Why is angle B 71? You're 100% right.
Because the isosceles sneak attack.
Okay, so while isosceles sneak attack makes me giggle, angle B equals 71 degrees because, so you can do a BC, no problem, right? Because, and I'm using that space because I write really big, because base angles of isosceles are congruent. Okay, it's not a complete sentence. I use symbols in my sentence. You can choose to use symbols or write words. Does that make sense though? Yeah, okay. So I'm going to put a 71 right here. Okay, so Luca, you had a hand up. Do you have a second step for us?
You could add up the 2 71s, which equal 142,
Mm-hmm.
and then you could subtract them from 180, which would give you 38.
Okay, so what property are you using? What theory are you using?
I'm using the,
Or just what you're doing what? Why is 180 important here?
because they're triangles are supplementary.
Okay, so the triangle sum equals 180 degrees, right? So yeah, that's what I would do. I would literally write 71 plus 71 equals 142. 180 minus 142 equals 38 degrees. And so I'm going to put the 38 degrees here.
And the other one, because they're congruent.
Okay, so but is that the same step or is that a new step? right? So it's kind of, so I'll just pick another color here. I'm gonna try to separate. So step 3. So when we have lines that intersect, that didn't work, intersect, what kind of angles are formed? What do we call those angles? Vertical angles, right? So vertical angles are congruent. And now didn't really name this angle, but I'm going to name the angle that I have right here. So this 38, I can't call it angle C, can I? What can I call that angle? What's the name of it? What letter could I start with? I can't start with the C, but can I start with the D? Yes. Okay, can I start with the E?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter which one, right? So angle DCE equals 38 degrees. We're in the triangle with the star, kids. What's our last step going to be? What are we going to do? That's right. Triangle sum equals 180. So I'm going to go 90 plus 38. And I'm going to get 128. And then 180 minus 128.
52.
Thank you. 52. So measure of angle D equals 52. And then you're done. So does everybody see how now the vocabulary is coming into play a little bit? Yeah. But is it that much harder? No. Would you get a lot of points if you just found the measure of angle D? Yes. It's usually, these are not like 50-point questions. They're like 2 to 4 points, right? So it just depends on how many steps. And so you always want to get your foot in the door with things like vertical angles or triangle sum, because then if there's something a little bit weirder, you might make a mistake, but you'll be okay. All right, so here comes our second one. This is an actual Regents question, okay? So that was one that wasn't, that was from Delta Math. This is Regents. All right, so in parallelogram A, B, C, D shown below, we got these two angles. What is the measure of angle B? Explain why. So I'm going to put my star here. But I'm going to go back to this fact, and I'm going to put something on the side for my forgetful self. What are some things that are awesome about, I draw terrible parallelograms. All right, so I got 2 people that know. I want somebody new. What do we know about parallelograms and their angles? Yeah, Josie. They don't touch, so what the angles are consecutive, but what do we, so like if I said something about the opposite angles, yeah, opposite angles are congruent. And this is in a parallelogram, so parallel, I won't write that. The opposite angles are congruent, and then what do we know about like consecutive angles? 180. So consecutive. I'm not sure which of these facts we're going to need, but I bet you we're going to need one of them. Okay? Probably not both. All right. Now, certainly, we also have parallel lines in a parallelogram, and so I see the letter Z. I may or may not want to use that information. It just depends on what you see. Okay? All right. Jerry, what do you see? Besides a parallelogram, what other shapes do we see? 2 triangles. And what do we know about triangle? So can we find a missing angle?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. What angle do you want to find, Jerry? Well, I want to find B in the end, but what can I find first? Yeah, right. So let's go to that. So angle D. So triangle sum equals 180. I'm going to write that down. And then I'm just going to do the work underneath. 98. Okay. Now I put down the angle measure, but I'm also going to just put under here that is angle D, right? I'm kind of showing what my conclusion is. So because the triangle sum is 180, I know angle D is 46 degrees. So do we know what angle B is going to be?
Yes, we do.
Okay, right? So angle B is equal to 46 degrees. But if you stop here, you haven't closed the deal, right? You got to explain why. So what words do we need to explain why?
Because.
So what shape do we have?
Oh,
Yep, because what?
parallelogram.
Because,
Opposite sides on a parallelogram are congruent.
so that's true, but now
Opposite angles.
there we go. Opposite angles of a parallelogram are congruent or are equal. So does everybody see how that's a 2-point question on a Regents exam? Yeah, it's not going to be bigger than that because you've learned about some of a triangle, like probably back in elementary school at some point. But it's the connecting of the dots and writing the explanation that gets you your second point. But if you got 46 down, you get 1 point. As long as you said that B was 46. Okay? Ready? One more to do, and then we're done with our work or the notes for the packet. Now, this is another one, and this one's a little bit tricky. So first thing I'm going to ask you to do is mark the diagram with the stuff at the top and the stuff at the bottom, and then we will start the second part of the question of like what's going on. That's a lot of words. It's not a ton of things to mark, right? But there's something to mark from the top, which a lot of kids miss this from this question. I remember this question clearly because it was like the end of the second sentence on the next line, right? Get you this making me handy. And then you got to be able to find these angles. So did you find angle EGB?
Yes, I did.
You did. Did everybody find it? So the letter in the middle is your key. So the G and then EGB. So you should have a 50 degrees right there. And you should have a 115 here. And then maybe, did anybody kind of turn their paper or turn their brain and sneak attack?
Yes.
Put your sneak attack lines down. So here's my isosceles triangle. This angle is going to be equal to that angle. Right? Do you see it? Okay. So now, the problem is this is not asking me for another angle, is it?
No.
Okay. So let's take a pause and talk about this. The whole unit, I've been saying, hey, the lines are parallel, therefore corresponding angles are congruent. Yeah. Hey, the lines are parallel, so alternate interior angles are congruent. These lines look parallel. They're amazing. They're going to be parallel, but we can't assume they're parallel. So, for example, this is what you need to see. I can't just say, boom, boom, this is 50. Because that would assume the lines are parallel. Does that make sense to everybody? As soon as I take a measurement from up here and just don't write the 50 there. Don't do that. Because that's making an assumption. So essentially what we need to do is we need to focus on this line, and then we need to focus on this line and hope that we somehow get a relationship. So we are looking for a parallel line cut by a transversal. That's a terrible, but you guys, it's just a symbol. You guys know what I mean? A little picture. Relationship. But we can't just start with that. So you kind of have to put on your blocker and work on one line at a time. So do you guys want to work at the top of the picture first or the bottom of the picture first? Who wants to pick?
The bottom.
The bottom. Luca's on it. Okay. Tyler, were you with the bottom or were you with team top? Team bottom. Okay, so team bottom. What do you want to do first, Tyler? What's the first thing we can calculate from that 115? Very good. Okay, so step one. What do we call these two angles because they're supplementary?
Linear pair.
Okay, so linear pair is supplementary. Okay, I actually did the reason first, but now I'm going to go 180 minus 115 equals 65. Okay, 65, but this is the deal. To really get the points, I got to say who that is. So that's the measurement of angle. So I'm putting it right here. What do I name that angle? So it's this line and that line. I could name it HIG. Very good. HIG. All right, so Tyler got us into the isosceles triangle. Can we do some more things in the isosceles triangle pretty easily?
We can.
Okay, so what's the next thing we're going to say?
The other angle base is
All right, so I would say triangle, doesn't matter, GHI is isosceles. So while you could write sneak attack and I would giggle, I can't give you a point for making me giggle. Okay? And then, which means base angles are congruent. And then this is where this picture gets a little bit crazy because up here we're going to put the 65. Whoop, not that. We're going to put the 65, but what's the name of this angle? The G needs to be in the middle.
HIG.
You could do IGH or HGI. Does everybody agree with that? So the measure of HGI equals 65. All right. All right. Let's see. Jason, do you know what we're going to do next?
Are we adding the 65 and 65
Yeah.
and then subtracting that by 180?
And why?
Because
What shape are we in?
a triangle,
A triangle. Has how many degrees?
180.
There you go. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you got to say, dude. So 3 triangle sum equals 180. So you've said the fact. Now you're going to do the math, right? 65 plus 65 equals 130. 180 minus 130. This is easy mental math even. 50. So I am going to write the measure of angle now. Oh my gosh, what is the name of this angle?
GHI.
GHI. Good Lord. Okay. So I'm just going to make sure you guys get that one caught up. And now it just depends on who you are and what you see. Okay, so we have this 50 down here. Do we have another 50 up above already?
Yeah.
So some people might see this relationship. Some people might need to go to vertical angles to see a relationship, right? Either this vertical or that vertical. So it just depends. If we go with these two 50s, how many of you can do the vocab word for those two 50s? 1, yeah. Okay, don't shout it out yet. Do you think you can do the vocab for those two 50s? So it's a no? Okay.
I might know.
Okay, so hold on. If I put a 50 here How many of you know this relationship from here to here?
I know that one.
Okay, so we have this relationship. We have this relationship. We can also, do you guys see how these are vertical angles? We can do the 50 here. So what about this 50 to this 50? Do you guys know what that one is?
Yeah.
Okay, how many of you are like, oh God, I don't know these? Are some of you that way? So we'll play a game in a little bit, okay? But, so this one was corresponding.
Yes, that's what I
So
was
if you didn't need to use any vertical angles, you could do corresponding. This one is alternate exterior, but you would have to do,
Oh, I thought that one was alternate interior, and that's the next.
this one is alternate interior. So, do you guys want me to demonstrate the alternate exterior with the vertical?
I think we're good.
Okay, let's do that. So the deal is, regardless, you have to somehow close the deal, right? So, and I know I can't see both things. Where's my, I have it. Okay, so my step 4 would be vertical angles are congruent. So in this lesson, we saw these two a ton. Isosceles is good, linear pair is good. Okay. Vertical angles are congruent, which means this angle GHI is congruent to, okay, who's vertical to GHI? I got to go back to my picture here. Ooh, CHF. Do you see it? Right at the bottom of the picture? CHF. CHF, which equals 50 degrees. Like, that's good enough. That's a little bit sloppy, but it's not bad at all. Okay, so now, this is how you close the deal. Okay, angle CHF is congruent to, now we got to connect to the top piece, our angle up at the top. The angle up at the top was called angle
EGB.
EGB. Ooh, that's a 9. That's not a G. GB. I'm going to change my pen here. And so then lines are parallel because alternate exterior. Do you want me to write the whole words?
I think so. Right.
Okay. Angles are congruent. And I'm just going to zoom out for a little bit. I know some of you in the back, it's a little small. So friends, do you see how there's 5 steps?
Yes.
And we have things that are just vocabulary and things that are specific to our picture? I know you might have heard this. You just did a proof. Woo! You just did your first geometry proof. Proof is literally just, so it's proving something, it's justifying your answer. Does that make sense? It's showing all the evidence. Like, I got proof that I am innocent. I have proof that these lines are parallel.
My grandma said some annoying thing about geometry.
What's that?
Proof.
Proof. Proof, you can't be scared of proof. You gotta tackle proof. Now, this is so hard compared to the one on your quiz, right? Am I gonna give you the one this hard on your quiz?
I would
No.
hope not.
No. But could you imagine, it's somewhere between these two. Does that make sense? Like, this is a 2-stepper, that's a 4-stepper. But do we see that, like, it's not rocket science? It's like isosceles, vertical, parallelogram, triangle sum? Yeah? Okay.